I've heard this statement many times saying I'm imperfectly perfect, and I find it quite paradoxical. So, I want to know what's your take on the importance of embracing imperfection.
Part and parcel of life. Because perfection cannot be defined. Perfection is always a perception. What is perfect for you may not be perfect for me. So, embracing imperfection is embracing life. Can I ever claim that I am perfect in something? Then either I am arrogant or I am foolish. Because if I say I am perfect in something, that means there is no more scope for improvement. And that's not the reality in life. Life can always improve at every stage. So the next stage is more perfect than the previous stage. So the previous stage was imperfect as compared to the next stage. Did I not embrace the previous stage? I did.
I personally believe that this whole embracing imperfection bit is a way of showing compassion to yourself. It's a way of saying you can, let go sometimes, and you don't have to be 100% correct every time. Do your thoughts align there?
So one way is I am being compassionate with myself in the present. But in the future, I am going to aim for the higher. The danger in being compassionate in the present is I accept this as a way of life. When my future doesn't change, my present and my future are the same. But when I embrace my current imperfection with the knowledge that I'm going to strive for the perfection or the next higher level, then that is okay. But many a times we use our compassion for ourselves as an excuse not to be perfect or not to improve, and that is the danger.
But what if you get too comfortable with your imperfect present?
That's the whole point, that you become too comfortable with your imperfection and then you stop progressing.
So do you think somewhere embracing it is not as great of a thing as it is?
Embracing it consciously, knowing that I am not as good as I should be, is good. Then you are not critical about yourself, you are not demotivating yourself, you are not depressing yourself. But if you embrace imperfection, to kya hua? Then probably you are putting a lid on your growth. And that's not a very healthy thing, especially when you are in the formative years of your life and career. Maybe you have reached 70, 80 and you have resigned. Abhi kya karne ka, chhodna. That is still understandable, though I don't recommend it. But at a younger level, you should never embrace imperfection.
But the opposite end of the spectrum is also, thinking that, okay, I need to keep at it, keep being great, strive for this, strive for that. That can all get too much.
Too much is when you acquire somebody else's benchmark. Like उसको 90% मिल रहा है, मुझे 70% मिल रहा है, मुझे 90% मिलना है, and I have managed 73. It's better than 70, but not 90. So I am stressing myself. अरे 73 is 17 less than 90. मुझे और करना है, and I got 78, which is better than 70 and 73. So I should learn to celebrate the 73 and the 78 also, instead of demeaning myself by comparing with 90. 90 was never my benchmark, it was somebody else's benchmark, which I tried to acquire for myself. In the process, I improved to 73 and 78. Celebrate.
But what if comparing myself to someone else is helping me reach the same goal? It might not be the same journey or the same path.
If you reach the same goal, then rejoice. But if the problem is when you don't reach the same goal, that is where you start punishing yourself, knowingly or unknowingly. Some people punish themselves knowingly. Like you say, that they don't embrace their imperfection. They are critical of their imperfection. Then you are punishing yourself. Having a benchmark is fine. Everybody doesn't become a Sachin Tendulkar or a Virat Kohli. But having them as benchmarks is great.
So then how is that different from me comparing myself to my colleague?
Compare. Don't criticize. Don't be critical. Compare. Okay, she's 90, I'm 78. No issues. So you know that 90 is achievable. If 90 is a topper, then 90 is achievable. So let me try. And maybe one day I will be 81. Wow. I started at 70, I'm 81. Yay. Great. So having a benchmark is a motivator. But being critical about yourself for not reaching the benchmark is a depressor.
How do you have any advice on how one should go about it and how to make it, say, simpler for yourself? Because nowadays, what people do is they delude themselves into thinking, oh no, everything's fine. Oh no, I'm great. And all of that leads to a lot of problematic things like failures. And then again, you fall apart because all this while you thought you were so perfect, but turns out you aren't.
So there are great examples of great people who never achieved greatness. Yeah. And you must look at those examples. I'll give you one stark example. There are several mountaineers who try to climb the Everest. And it is said that the last phase is the toughest phase. And very few people make it to the peak. But people have reached in hands-shaking distance of the peak. That last bit they have missed, and their names never feature in the person who conquered the Everest. But reaching that place is also a minority population in the world that reached that place. So you have achieved something great. Okay. So we are talking about mountaineering, which is not a big subject in India. Let's talk about cricket, which is a big subject in India. From the time India started playing test cricket and international cricket, there have always been pairs. One person has reached this peak and another person just failed to reach that peak. Talking of the 60s and 70s, Bishan Singh Bedi was the top spinner of India, left-arm spinner. Parallel to Bishan Singh Bedi was Padmakar Shivalkar. If Bedi never existed during that time, Shivalkar would have been the test cricketer. He never played test cricket. Padmakar Shivalkar never played test cricket because Bishan Singh Bedi was there. But Padmakar Shivalkar never gave up his passion for cricket. He never allowed depression to set in because he was not getting a peek into the Indian test team. And the way he continued to perform at the domestic level, his performances are much higher than Bishan Singh Bedi at the domestic level. And people in the know, the knowledgeable people about cricket, acknowledge Padmakar Shivalkar as equal to Bedi, if not more. At least equal to Bedi. Bedi is world famous. Padmakar Shivalkar is not world famous. But in the cricketing field, he stands tall. So that's one example. Again in cricket, another example is Amol Muzumdar. Never played cricket, test cricket. Why? Because at his time, Sachin Tendulkar and company were
Correct.
in the peak. But in domestic cricket, Amol Muzumdar has tons of runs. Probably more than Sachin Tendulkar in domestic cricket. And the tallest run scorer in the history of Ranji Trophy. Never got an opportunity. Okay. So, if you are able to keep yourself motivated to do what you do at your best, it doesn't matter who is above you.
Correct.
Yeah. From my personal experience, from my school days, I had a colleague with me who always stood first in the class, and my rank would vary from 10 to 2. Sometimes I stood 10th and sometimes I stood 2nd, but I never stood first. He was always first. There was no rivalry, there was no jealousy. He was a benchmark for me. He stands first. Once I missed that first rank by 2 marks. He was ahead of me by just 2 marks. But he was first and I was second. It didn't depress me to slip down to 10. I started at 10 and then gradually scaled up to 2.
But not even for a little while, because it was right there.
It was right there. Yeah, that year I felt, oh my God, just 2 marks and I would have been there. That year it rankled me. But I'm talking of what? 53 years now. We have been together. And in academics, he has always been there. Even in graduation, he was first in the college. I was second in the college. So, from school days to graduation, he has always been first. But that did not depress me. And it did not burn me into why he is first. That also didn't happen. So, you should also know, you started with embracing imperfection. Yeah? I am not imperfect. I am good up to a level in whatever I do. In academics, this is my level. But when it came to practicals, I outdid him by leaps and bounds. Both of us started our careers in pharmaceutical production. I could dismantle and set up a machine with my own hands, and he could never do that. So it doesn't matter what is first and what is second.
So it's like your definition of perfect is different.
Yeah, I excel in certain areas. He excelled in certain areas. He was very good in academics. I was very good in practicals. And I was happy doing what I did.
Fair enough.
He drifted from pharmaceuticals to foods. I stayed in pharmaceuticals. Now, should I consider that as my victory? No. He found his mojo. He shifted from production to marketing. I continued to stay in production and projects. I am happy doing what I am doing. He is happy doing what he is doing. Win-win situation. The subject is win-win. The problem starts when we start saying win-lose. I win, you lose, you win, I lose. Then there is problem. I win, you win. We both come from the same background, same school, same college, same degree. He won in life in his area. I won in life in my area. Both of us are happy.
So maybe instead of saying, I am imperfect or I want to embrace it.
I am perfect in what I do.
Yeah.
At that point of time.
Finish.
And I can always do better.
Could be different.
No, I am perfect in what I do.
Correct.
At that point of time. And I can always be better.
So there's no set rules of
No set rules.
this is perfection or this is what you have to do to achieve that.
Why your mother is fairer than my mother? Can I say that? I have no choice. I was born to that set of parents.
Correct.
So I have to embrace it.
Absolutely.
I embrace my mother with her skin complexion, whatever it is. His mother is fairer than my mother. So what? I still have my nose here. I still have my 2 eyes here. Same as him. So what's the big deal?
Absolutely.
So embracing means accepting. Embracing is not struggling. I don't have to struggle to be somewhere. I have to be content where I am. Content not detrimental to make me reticent or complacent. Content with the current, aspiring for a better future. That is the key. My contentment should be for the present, not for the future. ऐसा ही चलेगा, then I am in trouble. ऐसा ही नहीं चलेगा.